Okay, so if you're coming in a little bit late, you might want to watch my introductory video. I know I'm a little long-winded on it, but some things need to be explained. Now, what we're going to do just for your education purposes and so that people could develop a better understanding of what is alleged to be happening in the Hutaree situation is that there's an allegation that they planned on killing a police officer, then attacking a funeral, and that would somehow spark a revolution, that they would become a leadership caste or group of some sort in this revolution, and that they would carve out their own little country out of 4 counties in southern Michigan or northern Ohio or something to that extent. What I've done is I just did a regular search on YouTube, a lot of videos out there for police officer funerals. And what we're going to do is let's assume somebody did. And what I want to look at is the funerals where a police officer was shot in the line of duty, because that's what the allegation is that the Hutaree were going to do. And I got a few of these. They've already loaded into here. I got 2 computer monitors running with 2 different videos. Because we're gonna play a couple of these. This is first one is a funeral procession. This one calls nearly 2,000 fill arena for officer's funeral. Now that's a video of the hearse. There's also other parts of the video here. Some previous videos where there's just thousands of people showed up for these funerals. And one thing I think most rational people can see is in this video, there's thousands of people there. Maybe 25% are police officers. In California, there's a lot of people at these memorials. I can tell you that these boys don't take their guns off and leave them at home when they go to something like this. Okay. Anybody in that crowd who whipped out a gun and started shooting people and wasn't looking exactly like them and was dressed or looked like the Hutaree or announced themselves as the Hutaree, I'd give them maybe about a 2 to 5 second lifespan before they're going to have a lot of lead flying in their direction. So given that, and I could be half drunk and figure that out. You know what I mean? You go to shoot up a police funeral, and you got a couple thousand of those people, and even if it's a small department in the middle of nowhere, you're probably going to have a couple hundred show up. And, they may not all be NRA or GOA members or something like that, but let me tell you something, they carry guns, and they carry them loaded, and they know how to use them, and they're not all going to run away when it starts. They're going to become kind of enraged, and they're probably going to go after whoever starts shooting. And they're probably going to figure it out kind of quickly. I could think of a couple scenarios where somebody would dress up in a police uniform, and they'd go up to one of these things, start shooting, cause pandemonium. I'm guessing they would probably figure that type of thing out fairly quickly. I'm also guessing that an attack like that would probably be a suicide attack. Now, there are suicide shooting attacks, and it doesn't happen so much in this part of the world. That has happened in other parts of the world. I remember there was that happened in the Middle East. I've seen that in the news a few times where they do attack funerals. I believe it's happened between the Ulster Loyalists and the IRA a few times. They tend to go armed to their funerals because funeral processions are attacked. I mean, it's a known tactic. It's done in the world. However, I would look at the numbers of people, the size of these convoys for these funeral motorcades and things at officer funerals. And I'm not finding the ones that were specific to the more recent shootings in Seattle, but I understand they were big. They were blocking off streets. There's a lot of people out there that any group of a dozen people would take a look at the scale of what they're up against, no matter how they're armed, and probably say, you know what, this isn't a mission. And I can tell you, anybody in special operations, anybody in covert operations, would take a professional look at these types of situations and go to their boss and say, hey boss, listen, we can't do this with small arms. I would go to my boss on a huge ass stadium in Oakland, and somebody said, "Well, you got a dozen people. We'll give you automatic weapons, all the C4 you want, and you go ahead." I would look at that and say, you know what, man, I don't think I got the resources for that thing. I don't know how dumb or smart these Hutaree people are. I'm going to bet that they would look at something like this if they were actually planning it. They would do what you can do. Look at these videos. Do a search, watch these videos, and say, what kind of resources does it take to hit this, to really do some serious damage? And I would think, if you're going to hit a couple thousand of these people, you need a company or battalion size unit to do it, or you'd need air power or something. But few people, they AR-15s and pistols and shotguns. I don't think it's a realistic scenario. If they did a hit and run, okay, on the peripheral of this thing, take out a few people, they could go on the news, say, well, the funeral's attacked, who did it? They're going to be on the run, and they're going to be on the run from what is already a huge concentration of police resources. That's a huge concentration of enemy resources. This is not taken out in enemy sentry posts in the middle of nowhere, and then saying, well, hey, these guys are 3 weeks away by foot. It'll take them a half a day to get here by helicopter. We did a successful guerrilla operation. Those people who've again trained or been schooled or have any knowledge of guerrilla warfare, revolutionary warfare, special operations tactics, within the realm of overthrowing a government. Okay, I'm not talking about the newer nation building stuff. I'm talking about old school Green Beret stuff, where somebody's job is overthrow a government. It's going to look at this and say, you know what, it's not doable with any of the resources that the Hutaree either had or are claimed to have had. Now, I have another window open here that shows the nature of the training that the Hutaree people did. And I'm going to move it over to the big screen. Maybe you can see it a little better. You don't need to. You can look them up on YouTube. If you look at the videos these people are making, it's a lot of run around in the woods and play with guns type stuff. They're dressing up in camouflage. They're sneaking around. They're doing some, they're doing some stuff in the woods, and they're strong and they're smart. I look at this and I could say, they got some level of competence with what they're doing, and they got a little bit of competence. They seem to know their way around a little bit of demo stuff. But you know what? If you're playing with a little flashbang, pop and drop stuff in the woods, that's not on a scale of what somebody would use to hit a police unit, because those things are big. But what I'm not seeing is, I'm not seeing vehicle ambushes. I'm not seeing, in fact, I'm not seeing any urban combat with these guys. There's another video where they're doing some fire team rush or squad rush. It looks like some of the stuff that I've seen on their website, where they would establish some little zone of control somewhere, preferably off the beaten path somewhere in one of these society shit hit the fan scenarios, and they're going to go out and protect their little postage stamp of land somewhere, and maybe their end game scenario is that they would establish some little sovereign community or something like that. Now, the other thing I've seen is some other people accusing them of somehow being a Zionist group or something. And as we get into my third video, I think that's going to point us in the direction of the motivation of the people that sick the government on the Hutaree.